Hello, my name is Panos Kotzathanasis, and this is ASEAN Movie Pulse Interviews. I am here with Tsogo, producer and owner of Mongol Films Distribution. How are you, Tsogo?
I'm good, Panos. How are you?
I am fine. Great to have you here. So let us start from the beginning. How did you end up working in movies?
Well, I always loved movies. My mom was involved in a television for the longest time. So my childhood was, spent. I grew up basically in television studios. So I always loved the movies and the concept of it, the art form. My mom used to let me read all the scripts and used to give my inputs to her, and grew up understanding the whole concept of filmmaking, the content making, and I enrolled in a film school in Mongolia, and then I came to United States, then finished school here. Yeah, I always wanted to be a filmmaker or someone involved in the film, I guess.
But you never became a filmmaker, actually. You became a producer, right?
I know. Well, after finishing school, I found a studio called Rice Pictures in San Francisco. So through Rice Pictures, we produced many music videos, corporate videos, commercials, short films, etc. And then I moved to feature films and got involved, reconnected back with Mongolia. And just timing isn't right, everything is just, the way the films being made in Mongolia, it's very different than the rest of the world, kind of in a different way. And, I have, a lot of projects in my head, and also on the papers. And as a producer, I have many different projects going on at the time. But, something that I want to direct, I'm putting it aside and just waiting for the right moment, because, something I wanted to do isn't going to be made possible with the budget we have right now. So it's just, just waiting for the right moment and connection. It's all about connection, right? In the film industry, it's when things align, it becomes possible, right?
Okay. So if you ever direct a film, will you produce it also?
Well, yeah, it would be my baby, right? So I would produce it from the beginning, and then of course I would bring in producers in the team, in the producers team, but it would be my directing debut or directing works. So.
Okay. And can you tell me a bit about your company, Mongol Films Distribution? What is the situation?
Sure. Yeah. Mongol Films Distribution is a sales company for Mongolian films. We have been around for 8 years now, and it's a company based in San Francisco, California. We attend all the major film markets and to promote Mongolian films, and at the same time we try to sell and also promote Mongolian filmmakers and Mongolian films. So I can, proudly say that now, we are somewhat involved in the success of Mongolian films being recognized around the world. I'd like to think that Mongol Films Distribution had something to do with it, because when we first started at AFM, not many people knew Mongolia actually made movies, but we were trying to sell movies to people who didn't even know where Mongolia was. So, I would have to take out my phone and bring Google Map and show them, how big Mongolia is, and it's an independent country sandwiched between Russia and China. It's a Central Asian country. We have a long history, 86, 89 years of filmmaking, and then we coming back strong. I mean, Mongolia was a communist country, right? It was a socialist and communist country. A lot of our things were dependent directly on Russian leaders and economy. And then, in 1989, when Mongolia switched to democracy, a lot of the fundings went away with the government, and filmmakers were left alone. But there are a lot of critical judgments passed on to those filmmakers, but I actually honestly want to thank them because, luckily the digital era just emerged, and it made it possible for Mongolian filmmakers to continue making films. And, all the schools were, the cinemas were privatized, and a lot of them turned into different entities, and only one cinema was left available for filmmakers to showcase their work, and many went straight to CDs, and I don't remember what it was called, that VCD. Remember that?
Video CD, yeah, I remember.
So, we actually skipped all this VHS process. Betacam was, of course, used by the TVs, but then, the commercial people, like they really skipped VHS and then went straight to like DV and then CD.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then with all those changes, a lot of people, non-professional people saw filmmaking as a business also. So, many contents weren't, many movies weren't produced to like before, like art form. A lot of movies were produced fast to make quick bucks, and then with that, the quality dropped significantly. And it had also to do with the budget also, because, not many people had cash on hand, or people actually, didn't know how to finance movies. And because, we needed some help, but the help never arrived. And, Mongolian filmmakers, with the help of YouTube and the internet, they started self-educating themselves and started making movies on their own, copied a lot of movies, copied a lot of ideas. But, what we see now is, the result of that in early 90s. And so, now a lot of movies are being produced, but they're, ups and downs. And so, and then I saw, when I reconnected back with Mongolian filmmakers, I saw that there was need for them to showcase, share their work with the rest of the world, and not many movies were being exposed outside Mongolia. It had a lot to do, and then I had to really go back and re-educate filmmakers how the rest of the world really, the film industry really worked, because even now, still, that education is still happening, and every day filmmakers are learning and trying to step alongside the rest of the world. Like, like, for example, music, for example, a lot of the music were unlicensed and, used without permission. And a lot of them were foreign popular music, that which we can't use and, sell or promote in the world, in the industry. So we had to really go back and tell them to change the music and really made them understand. And then even outputs, like really tell them what they need to prepare in terms of delivery wise, because they would only have MP4 file, and most of the time things were embedded on it and you can't really take it out. And because the lack of finance didn't allow them to save their project files on a separate hard drive, they were recycling the hard drive over and over for next, in a lot of projects. So one movie is done, they would render it out and print, save the print, but then it would be just very low quality MP4 file, and then delete the, reformat the drive and then use it for the next project, so on. So, a lot of filmmakers face that problem, because now when I ask them, provide me with all the list of this materials, and, not many could actually fulfill. And now we are getting better.
How many movies does Mongolia produce every year? Let's say before COVID, is now everything is messed up. Before, let's say 2018, let's say you have a rough estimate?
Yeah, Mongolia produced a lot of movies. Even during COVID, movies went straight to IPTV and VOD, OTT platforms. If you're only talking about feature films, Mongolians produce about 45 to 50 movies a year. That used to be all theatrical. It didn't matter, because there still is no censorship or a rating system or something that can, tell them that because the Mongolian industry is such a small industry, we filmmakers deal directly with the exhibitors, and many of them doesn't really go through the filtering system, so they can go directly to cinema and tell them, I want to showcase my movie this day and that day, and they go through this reviewing process where cinemas mostly check if the audio quality is suitable for cinema and so on, not really checking the quality, because they can't really tell filmmaker that your movie is terrible, we're not gonna put it in the cinemas, you know, like now it's changing actually. Now it's there's a little bit change that filmmakers can actually tell, but the relationship they built with the seasoned or older filmmakers doesn't really allow them to tell that straight, you know, tell that directly straight to their face, that then, you know, they would probably have a problem with the filmmakers. So basically anything that's produced showcases in the cinema. So, which is good for the filmmakers, but not necessarily good for the cinema, as in, you know, it's a business entity. They need to earn money through showcasing certain movies, right?
And how many movies does your company produce in a year?
Mongol Film Distribution doesn't produce movies.
Only distribute. Okay.
Yeah. So we have, I have another company called the Film Bridge. The Film Bridge is distribution and production company based in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. Through Film Bridge, we distribute foreign language films in Mongolian territory. And through Film Bridge, we produce movies, invest in movies, but you know, as myself, I work as a producer separately on different movies. You know, joining later or come in from the beginning, but not necessarily my movies that I join and produce. But through Film Bridge, it would be like my movies, because we would be responsible for the success of that title. And we are actually finishing up one movie right now and working on the next movie we are planning to shoot in December. So we produce around 4 to 5 movies a year.
Okay. And how many cinemas are now in Mongolia? You have a number, more or less?
Yeah, there are 7 cinemas in Mongolia currently operating.
7?
7.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 cinemas, and they're all concentrated in the capital city of Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar. Because Mongolia has 3.2 million total population. That's including newborn babies and elderly old people as well. But then actual capita for the people who actually go and see movies in the cinemas are less than 100,000. You know, so if we reach 100,000 ticket sales, that's a blockbuster for both foreign and local contents. Yeah.
And do they watch the local films, or do they prefer the foreign ones, the local audience?
Local movies, it all depends, right? If local movie is not that great, then of course it doesn't perform well. But most of the time, local movie can outperform any major studio blockbuster movie in Mongolia, just like any other countries. You know, a lot of Mongolians actually watch local movies.
Okay. And you mentioned before that the way people shoot movies in Mongolia is a bit different. Can you tell me a bit more about that? What did you mean?
Well, now it's not that true because now,
Mm.
filmmakers are being educated. For example, like last Cannes, just before Cannes, Mongolia passed film law November of last year, and in March of this year, no, April of this year, just before Cannes, Mongolia founded its Mongolian National Film Council,
Mhm.
and Mongolian National Film Council with the Ministry of Culture. They had a booth, Mongolian booth in Cannes at Palais, and a lot of filmmakers and distributors, producers came, but and the government officials to promote Mongolia, and so I've been telling filmmakers to go out there and experience the world cinemas in festivals and attend markets, even if you don't speak the language. Just attend and try to feel the vibe. So that gives you where the current industry is and what they do and how things operate. So now, Mongolian filmmakers, they're getting much better. But before, the actual the filmmaking process was different. The producers were not necessarily producers. Producers were just money people, give their money, and then investors would be playing the role of producer, but then it wouldn't be their own project. All they think of is just how to get paid, or if a company invested in the movies, they wouldn't necessarily look at the project, the movie as a project, and if the movie would make sense or would generate income back to them, it would be just something they would give to someone they know, like based on friendship, and then a lot of the time that friendship goes down a toilet because the filmmakers wouldn't necessarily use that entire budget on the screen. So it was, and then the audios weren't recorded correctly, and then there would be no way to produce M&E tracks afterwards, and colors weren't done correctly. People's skin would turn orange, and a lot of orange and pink people would be running around the screen. Those kind of things, and the color would be very vibrant, and they think the color grading is to have a colorful colors, I guess. So a lot of things didn't work before. Now they're realizing. I mean, it worked in Mongolia, right? Of course, because they the local people audience would watch it, but I mean, it's not just Mongolia is so much different than the rest of the world. I guess in third world countries, or in countries where the budget is very limited, I guess it's common, I would say. But when you go and try to produce a movie, I've been living in America for a long time, so my idea of thinking or the work experience would have would be different than what they have been doing since 1990 in Mongolia. So that's what I tried to change. So I 12 years ago, in 2010, 2020, 2009, actually, I signed up as a city producer for this project called 48-Hour Film Project, created by Mark Rupert and Lisa Langston out of Washington, D.C. The idea was to spend your weekend making films. You know, in 48 hours, you produce 4 to 7 minute short films. Mm-hmm. And then the requirements, the elements they have to use to prove that they made it in 48 hours were the elements they used: character, line of dialogue, and props. So then people can tell you made that movie in that 48 hours, not pre-made it. And then that process, I, you know, like I said, I had a studio before. So my studio, we participated in a team in San Francisco. And I saw that, and then I thought it was a great concept, and then I wanted to bring it to Mongolia because Mongolians were creating, like, you know, really quality music videos. So music videos would be like 3.5 minutes, right? But a lot of them looked really good, almost like a short film. So I thought if I brought this competition, timed competition, to Mongolia, it would help them understand how films were made, you know, in outside Mongolia. And the requirements were something that I would really want to enforce. You know, there were music waiver sheets that they require to submit their movies, locations, actors, release forms. So it was basically something they would need to make short film. You know, to location release would help you to secure the locations. The music release would have you create your own music, or, you know, buy movie or buy a song or music and license it in the right way. And then all the actors or people, the crew, would have to sign a release form. So it was basically the whole thing, you know, done in 2 days. And I like to believe that competition, bringing it to Mongolia and hosting it for 10 years, you know, up until the pandemic, I'd like to believe that it really helped filmmakers to grow, and also discovered new talent, because the people who made short films, who had no movie making experience, ended up making feature films and worked on and became, you know, representatives of current Mongolian film industry, and people who were just sitting behind a desk in a TV studio basement, editing day and day work, ended up becoming festival director and involved in all the independent movies, and became important part of Mongolian filmmaking. So I'd like to believe that, you know, bringing that competition really did help the filmmakers in Mongolia to be, you know, who they are and what they represent.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, can you tell me a bit some notable filmmakers now, some movies?
Yeah, sure. Well, obviously there are like handful filmmakers who are Mongolian or Mongolian descent, lives outside Mongolia or still living in Mongolia, who speaks English at least, and or other languages. They can communicate with foreign filmmakers and at least attended festivals and currently attending workshops or programs offered through markets or festivals to at least apply for grants to support their films. So there are like less than 10 people, but those people are separate. I don't think those people can alone represent the entire industry of Mongolian filmmaking, because the way they look at things and then the connection they have, it's very international. And their movie is not even watched by, their ticket sales can't even reach 1,000 tickets in Mongolia. So the films they make is usually made with soft money. So theirs is more designed towards telling their own stories and showcased in festivals and, in the first festival circuit, and, not commercial movies. So I don't know if you're asking me who is leading filmmaker that hitting the box office or leading the box office in Mongolia versus who is known in the international world. So that would be two different things, right? So I could tell you two different names and two different movies.
Please.
Which one?
Okay.
Which one are you more interested in, or you would like to know both?
To tell you the truth, the one who is successful in Mongolia is more interesting because I probably don't know about him at all or her. So.
Sure. Yeah. There are filmmakers in Mongolia, not their movies not recognized anywhere except Mongolia. But then if they make a movie, it sure becomes a box office a hit, and makes draws over 100,000 people into the cinemas. So first, the company is called Fantastic Production, and led by a filmmaker called Temir. And he joined forces with his childhood friends and school friends, and they formed this company called Fantastic Production. And they've been producing a lot of movies since their early ages, and with their parents being, famous filmmakers and actors in Mongolia. So, they create something patriotic, war movies in Mongolia. A lot of people can just blindly go and watch whatever they produce. And, even when during the pandemic, they make this TV competition show, reality show type of thing. And, thousands and thousands of people watch it on IPTV, for example. And then there's a filmmaker, actress, used to be a comedian, but turned into an actress. Her name is Onderma, and her company called UFilm. And she makes this sequel called Single Ladies. And every single lady she makes box office hit. And it's not showcased anywhere else, and it's it's not a movie that would be commonly watched outside Mongolia because of a lot of reasons, right? It's comedy, romantic comedy movie, which is least favorite genre people like to purchase and distribute, especially in foreign language like Mongolian language, right? So then there's festival movies that are made with soft money that they don't have to pay back and not to worry about how to get back end and pay someone back. So those would be there are a lot of recognized filmmakers out there living outside Mongolia. For example, Bamsurin, I'm sure you know of her, of her work, Story of Weeping Camel, and she currently lives in Germany, I believe. But all the movies she is produced with German producers, so not necessarily all the money is coming from Mongolia, for example. And then there's another female filmmaker, also lives in Germany, Uzma. She produced directed two movies. Both movies were very successful in a festival circuit. Her last movie, Black Milk, was a selection in Berlinale and was invited to a lot of festivals representing Mongolia. And then there's another female filmmaker just coming out about. Her name is Dorlemsrung. She lives in Switzerland. Her short film was selected in Cannes Shorts competition in 2021. And that was the highest success we have in the film festival circuit, I believe, in Cannes, was selection in Cannes. We had movies in Venice before, in Soviet or communist era, by Mongolian filmmakers before, but in the current filmmakers, her success is probably the highest. And Björnson's movie, The Weeping Camel, was selected and was shortlisted in Oscars as a documentary feature film. So that was, nobody has achieved that even now or before. So she is the sole Mongolian person who ever stepped on the Oscar stage. So those are those. And then the other people whom you never heard of. Right?
Okay.
So like the movies you reviewed before, those movies, some of them, like Singderch, you know of him, right? Because you reviewed three of his films, I, The Sunshine, Life, and Gergi. So he is probably the highest paid director in Mongolia currently. And anything he produces, people are willing to go and see, but not necessarily would hit box office. But he would be the highest paid director in Mongolia. So there are many different people, and then there are emerging filmmakers also from Mongolia who are trying to make it out there. but not really get that support because of the language barriers they have.
Mm-hmm.
And also not understanding how the rest of the filmmaking industry works is a key. That is not that is holding them back. So, and also there is the collaboration thing. It's completely missing in Mongolia. Everything and everyone is very high, in a high competition and very competitive. And not joining force, especially, as small as Mongolia, for us to make it in an international market, we have to join forces. But not many people actually realize that, because maybe there's an ego, or because maybe it's in our DNA, because Mongolians grew up in a vast landscape, just moving from place to place. It's a nomadic lifestyle versus stationary lifestyle. So stationary lifestyle is less than 100 years. We're not really accustomed to that yet in our DNA. It probably need another 200-300 years for us to get really comfortable living in that stationary lifestyle. So everybody's freely roaming around, having their own tribe or having their own mind, making their own decisions. So nobody really sicked anybody's health before. Maybe that DNA is still alive in all the filmmakers. And when you combine that with your ego, that's a dangerous thing. It prevents them from joining forces. And I believe with my company, with the things we're trying to accomplish, I think we can do that. I think we can finally bring them, join forces. That's the only way, because we even have a proverb in Mongolia, that a single log can't make a fire. A single warrior can't win a war, but still, everybody's trying to be that warrior.
Okay, all right. And there is also a festival in Ulaanbaatar. Am I correct? Is it still running?
Yes. So there are, when I had that competition festival, there used to be 3. And now that I haven't hosted or organized it, there are only 2 now. One is called Golden Gear International Film Festival. It's more for short film, as there's international and local short film competition, and opening and closing films, feature films. So they would, throughout the festival, it's about 3-day long festival with a small lecture or workshop with invited guests, Q&A. So they would have one opening film and one closing film. And then there's Ulaanbaatar International Film Festival. And it's also a screening film festival also. There's no competition section for international films. They only screen international films, but very, very festival films. no commercial films ever get screened, and they have competition section for Mongolian films, but because of their regulation, the movie doesn't the movie they submit would have to be very fresh, hasn't been released in Mongolia. That makes it very difficult for them. So each year they would only receive maybe 4 or 5 movies tops. Because, filmmakers, like I said, they make movie today and edit it tomorrow, and next day they screen it in the movie theater. Because, there's no distribution companies, and there's no long-term marketing plan involved. So that's the downside of filmmakers directly dealing with the exhibitor, because they don't have to go through this scheduling process. They can just make movie today and screen it tomorrow.
Okay.
But it's slowly changing, people realizing it's not really the smart way, but we still have a lot of older people who wants to keep it the old way.
Okay. So in general, would you say that you are hopeful for the future of Mongolian cinema?
Of course. We have great, films to offer. We have, very talented filmmakers we can offer. It's just for us to make it out there. We really need to educate our filmmakers with the current industry. If somebody wants to make it out there as independent filmmaker and get recognized in the festival world, they need to really understand what festivals are looking for, and what really works and what doesn't. And they need to understand what festival they need to submit their movies, for example. It's just a whole different world out there, right? So everybody thinks whatever they make, they can submit to Cannes or Venice or Berlin, but
it doesn't work that way.
It's not. Yeah, it's different, and and then if somebody wants to make it as a commercial success, something we need to do with through a co-production maybe, or something we do and that can cross over, that can be accepted and accepted in different territories. So what's accepted is genre movies, right, or historical or epic movies, but those movies, they require a big budget, and and it just needs to be good, right? The story wise, the technical wise, the acting wise. So we have a lot of work to do, but I am sure, I really believe Mongolian filmmakers can really make it out there once, if we join forces, like one by one, it's going to be difficult. It will take a long, long time, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but together, like Taiwan, I like how they did it with the Sandwich Man, you know, with the how they joined forces and how they, you know, financed each other's movie, how they helped each other. It's like 7 different directors, they joined forces and acted in each other's movies, acted, you know, became crew in each other's movies and really supported each other because they wanted their work and vision to be recognized out there, you know, in internationally. So they put aside their own egos and really helped, right? So that's what we need from Mongolian filmmakers, and if we can do that, I believe we can get there faster.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, now we have Mongolian National Film Council, and through the council, we are offering up to 45% rebate for minimum of $500,000 spent, foreign money spent in Mongolia for co-productions. So that's a great start. And with that, I think if foreign filmmakers starts coming to make films in Mongolia, our filmmakers will get free education just by working, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like after school, I like everyone else, I worked for free just to learn and to get accepted, and until your work is valued and get paid, you have to really work hard, work for free, you know. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the last question, I guess, can you tell me a bit more about the future projects of yours, your company, and yours?
our work.
Yeah, future project. What are you planning?
Yeah, so currently we're working on one movie, the project name Night School. It's a thriller type of movie. We need to reshoot one scene, and then after that, the post-production will start. And we are developing one story. We're gonna shoot, planning to shoot in December or January, and then we have another project which we are also trying to develop for local audience. So in order for us to make it and recoup what we invested, it has to be ultra micro, whatever the minimal cost, right? So that's where all the juggling happens. You know, you need to move one money to the other and try to make it out there. Currently, there are a lot of movies that are being produced in Mongolia. So, for example, since January 1st, 2020, it's half year mark, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are 30 movies, local movies were released. So it's like almost every weekend, new movie is releasing in Mongolia. And I don't think any of them actually recouped, you know, but it's tough. It's tough market. It's very small, very whatever Mongolians are doing locally, it's showing them it's not working because, you know, when you have less than 1,000 ticket sales, what are you gonna do with that, you know? So, and then you just hope maybe you will recoup some from IPTV, and free TV doesn't sell or buy. There's no business there for local filmmakers. But what we need is organized distribution in Mongolia, who can represent everybody's movie and talk to exhibitors on behalf of them, and, you know, smart placement in the schedule, in the tentatives, to make it work between all the foreign movies being released. And, you know, because the filmmakers, that's the another dangerous part, when local filmmakers have direct relationship with exhibitors, it can really hurt each other's work, right? So if, like, for example, the Fantastic Production, they can come in and put their movie up. No other local movie would make it out there. They would flop. But because, you know, each filmmaker would not necessarily talk to each other and, you know, try to place. They would only pick a date that is suitable for them, that they think is suitable, right? That versus, for example, distribution company, they can tell them, you know, look, you know, this movie is coming and we're going to place your movie here, we're going to place your movie there, and your movie is probably best if it was, you know, released these dates and this time. And, you know, you can always negotiate with the cinemas, you know, the slots, you know, prime slots, or, you know, whatever slots, and try to make it out there working with the cinemas. And, you know, cinemas are there to exhibit your movies, but they are there to make money too. And I'm sure with your movie, they're making money, because it's not just ticket sales they're sharing, it's the concessions and arcade games, and, you know, people who are coming to watch a movie spending money in a different fields also. So cinemas, they need movies, they need contents in order to operate. And then if all of them, you know, represented through one company, it would be easier to negotiate than one by one. So that's why I'm saying everyone is their own tribe and trying to kill each other, and they just need to work together.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you very much, Tsogo. This was very interesting. We don't hear so much about Mongolian cinema frequently, so I think this was a very interesting discussion. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, I don't know how long we talked, but, you know, there could be
it's
a
an
lot
hour
of things we can talk about, but the time passes so fast when you talk about something that interests, you know, both parties, right?
Yeah. Maybe we could have a part 2 at some point, a sequel. Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you very much, Tsogo. This was ASEAN Movie Pulse interviews, and see you soon. Okay, bye.
Yeah, thank you, Vanas, for inviting me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for being here.